Hey friends, I'm Stacy and this is Gorgeously Aging, and today I'm going to share with you a couple of my absolute favorite recent purchases for makeup for mature skin. The first one is the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam foundation. You guys, this is a stunning foundation. It is hydrating but blurring, long wear serum foundation. It is gorgeous on mature skin, but there are a few little tricks to making it look really good on aging skin. Nothing too complicated, but just the difference in application between using a brush and using your fingers, I've noticed makes a difference. So I'm going to share that with you in this video. I love Natasha Denona. She makes some really gorgeous products, but I think this is really a standout and you're going to love it. So I also got the Natasha Denona. This is the liquid bronzer, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait to share that with you. And then you guys, I discovered the best concealer, my favorite concealer of all time. This is the Sarah Creole concealer. I have it in two shades. One I use for brightening the under eye and one I use for concealing any spots or the redness around my nose. So I'll share that in this video, but it is phenomenal. I'm not usually one to overhype up products, but I think these three that I just mentioned, I'm going to use a bunch of other things, but the three I just mentioned are absolutely fantastic for mature skin. I also discovered a new lip combo, and this is from Westman Atelier, so a bit of a splurge. And you guys know I love my nude lip combos, but this is so beautiful. So I can't wait to share that with you as well. So let's just jump into the video. So today I'm going to be using the new Natasha Denona Hy-Glam foundation. I first ordered this in a little bit darker color and I had to get the correct color for me. So I'm a little late to the party on reviewing this one, but I have used it a few times and I absolutely love it. But there are a few tricks to making it look beautiful on mature skin. If you're brand new here, you guys, I am a 53, almost 54-year-old master medical esthetician, and I'm passionate about all things skincare, facial rejuvenation, makeup, fashion, and aging beautifully from the inside out. If that sounds interesting to you, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of future video uploads. You can find all of my facial rejuvenation content at rumble.com/gorgeouslyaging. I do upload all of that educational content to Rumble simply because YouTube is a bit more censored, so I want to be able to share freely that education with you. You can also find it on my website, which is gorgeouslyaging.com. Okay, so I've already started with my skincare routine. My skin is prepped. I have my sunscreen on today, and all the products I'm going to share with you and my colors I will list in the description box below. But let's start out with this gorgeous Natasha Denona Hy-Glam foundation. When I say a foundation is gorgeous, it's high praise. I'm usually not one to overhype a product, but this is a really beautiful formula. So I originally had gotten this in the color N8. It was a little bit dark, and so I ended up ordering it, and I order everything online in the color N7. I don't think these are in Sephora stores, but they are available online. So I'm just going to do the slightest amount. You can see it's a very liquid formula. This is a medium coverage radiant finish that is self-setting, so it doesn't need powder. You can build it up to a fuller coverage, and you can definitely set it with powder if you want to, or powder the T-zone, but you don't need to. It does take a little bit to set down, but it is gorgeous. Now they recommend using a foundation brush for that radiant finish and using your fingers if you want a little bit fuller coverage, less radiance. So I'm going to just take this on my BK Beauty. This is my 101 foundation brush. And I'm going to start at the center of my face. And it is gorgeous. It blends into the skin. I think this N7 is like such a perfect color for me. I'm going to take one more pump just because, and this time I'm just going to kind of dot it on my face. I feel like this brush, because it's so big, it just like ate up so much of the foundation. So I'm just going to put a few dots around my face. And I don't want a ton of this. I really do like a light to medium coverage. Now I do feel like when this dries down, it still has radiance, but it has a long wear kind of natural finish. So it doesn't look wet. It almost looks more natural, but you do get some radiance when the light hits your face. It's a really interesting formula in how the skin looks hydrated, radiant, but not wet. It dries itself down without needing powder. It's really pretty. It's really unique. Now, yesterday I wore this without any powder at all and really loved it. I'm going to put some concealer on, and then I'm going to decide if I want to powder under my eyes a bit or in the T-zone. But you guys, if you have not tried the Sarah Creole concealer, This is, without question, the best concealer I have ever used. Beautiful on mature skin. So I'm going to start out with my color 3. This is a new one for me. I originally got a color that is like a little bit darker, tiny bit darker. Let me see if I can see what color this one is. This is 5. So the 3 is a little bit brightening under the eyes. And I'm just going to get a little bit here in the corner, center of my under eye, and then lift this part. You could just use a tiny dab if you just need ever so slight bit of brightening under the eye. You can certainly use a finger to blend this in, which I often do. But I like how this BK Beauty A506, this is the Angie Hot and Flashy Kitten Paw brush. I like how it fits in the corner of the eye. This does a nice job of blending in the concealer. So I've been using this brush a lot lately, but fingers do a wonderful job as well. I tend to get dark right in here, so I like to kind of just wiggle the brush into that corner. Whatever's left on my brush, I like to run over my eyelids. And then I'm going to take the darker color in the shade 5 and just get around my nose where some redness tends to peek through. I'm going to go back to that brightening shade in just a second, but first I want to use a tiny bit of the Natasha Denona liquid bronzer. This is just 1 pump, and I'm using the color Foxy. So I'm going to take the BK Beauty 109 brush. It's kind of like the foundation brush, but it's smaller. And I'm just going to load this on my brush. A little bit goes a long way. I don't even think you need a full pump. Like half a pump would be more than enough. And I'm just gonna bronze up my face, do a little contouring, and around the perimeter of my forehead. So here's the side with some bronzing and contouring, and here's the side without. I just think it does so much for lifting and creating dimension in the face. So we'll just warm up this other side. It blends in so nicely. That's one thing I will say about this, is that it's easy to blend and it doesn't look patchy. It just goes on so beautifully. Just run a little bit that's left on the brush down the sides of my nose and the front here. I've got 2 of these Laura Mercier blushes. These are the Tinted Moisturizer Blush, and I have this lighter color which I really love, but for some reason I'm gravitating towards this one today. This one's in the color Promenade. Just gonna take the tiniest amount, and I actually like to first dab this on my finger. You can go right to the brush, but my face tends to lose the blush quickly, so I kind of just pat it in first with my finger and then blend it in with a brush or a sponge. I feel like when I do this, I can get it where I want it a little bit more effectively too. Sometimes I'll add a second layer of blush because for whatever reason, blush wears off pretty quickly on me. So I'm going to use a little bit of my Laura Mercier. This is the Translucent Loose Setting Powder in the Extra Blur. I like this in the T-zone. It's a beautiful powder, finely milled, and it sets down those areas where you have enlarged pores and just blurs them down a little bit. I'm going to use the BK Beauty 111 brush and start out right up here where I have some enlarged pores. Hit those cheeks and my nose and a little bit on my chin. I do like to get right along here as well. What I have left, I'll just kind of go over my forehead. I don't like my forehead to shine too much because it's so big. I don't want to draw attention to it. Then I'm going to take my BK Beauty 110 and just the ever so slightest amount and just tap it off on my wrist or my hand. And just put a tiny, tiny bit of powder underneath my eyes and on my eyelids. You don't need this. I just am in the habit of using a blurring powder. Not that I have super enlarged pores, but I think as we age, our pores become a little bit larger, and I just like a little powder in the T-zone. But if you're not into powdering your face, or if you feel like that accentuates your aging, you don't have to with this. It definitely sets down nicely, and like I mentioned, I wore it yesterday without powder and it was really pretty. Before I do my eyeshadow today, I do want to put something on my lips because I'm really excited about this and I'm feeling kind of pale on the lips. I have a couple new Westman Atelier products. This one is their lip liner. It's called Lip Shape Lip Liner, and I got the color Biscuit. So here is a swatch. Such a pretty nude, slightly pinky. They definitely have some other colors. I gravitate towards nudes or soft nudie pinks. I love Westman Atelier. It is more of a luxury brand, but the products are so beautiful. I wore this yesterday and it stays on nicely. Beautiful on mature lips. So I always line my lips, but then I like to bring it into the body of the lip just a little bit so it's not a stark line. This is the Westman Atelier Squeaky Clean Liquid Lip Balm, and this is the color Nana or Nana. And let me just show you that next to the lip liner. It's just a very pale, shiny, light pinky nude. I love this color and it feels so good on the lips. This might be my favorite lip combo I've used in a long time. The only negative thing I would have to say is that Westman Atelier is a bit more pricey. But if you're in the mood to splurge on something, give it a try, especially if you have chronically dry lips or you just want something that feels amazing on the lips. That liquid lip balm, it is gorgeous. All right, let's move on to the eyes. And since I featured the Natasha Denona Hy-Glam foundation, I'm gonna go in with her mini Eyesculpt palette. And this is just basic neutrals, but the formula is fantastic. And I love that they have a very light color and a nice range, and then a black for lining or for deepening up or for a smoky eye. So I'm gonna start out with this kind of nudie color and just do a wash over the whole eyelid. And with the same brush, I'm going to move up to this color and just go above the natural lid here, or the crease, and pull that up towards the tail of my brow. These blend in so well. If you haven't tried a Natasha Denona eyeshadow, start with one of these like mini palettes. I've got a couple larger palettes and they are a bit of a splurge. You know, it's a nice brand. But starting with this mini palette gives you an idea if you like the formula. I've actually been really enjoying smaller palettes lately. They're just easier to travel with, and I just think, you know, they take up less space. I'm going to take a small pencil brush, go into this lighter shade, and just brighten up the inner corner. That's where I always tend to kind of be dark in that inner corner. I'm going to take a smaller brush. This one's the BK Beauty 211 and hit this brown color, this darker brown. Just building up that outer crease a little bit. And go back to that fluffy brush and just do some blending. Then I'm going to take a smaller, flatter brush. I'm going to go into this lighter brown and then the darker brown after. And just tie this in with the lower lash line. Then I'm going to go into the darker brown and just hit that outer corner. And then I'm going to use my Hourglass eye pencil and just give my brows a little oomph. I just ran out of my Makeup by Mario pencil, which I'd been using kind of constantly. And then I remembered that I had this one and I really love this formula as well. And then I'm going to take the NYX Thicket Brow Fiber Gel. I'll list the colors down below with the product links. I think a brow gel makes all the difference, especially if you have sparse, aging brows. My daughters also use a tinted brow gel and brow pencil, and they have nice brows, so it can be used by anybody, but I think it gets especially important as we age. I can't get over how much I love this Westman Atelier lip look. I just think it's gorgeous. I know some people really like more lip color. I just always tend to gravitate towards nudes. So I'm going to go ahead and tightline. This is the Lancome Idole. This is the Ultra Precise Waterproof Liner. It's a liquid liner. I'm just going to line underneath. It gives definition without taking up a lot of lid space. Today I'm wearing my lashes, my brand, which is Gorgeously You Luxe Lash. I will link that down below as well. And then I'm going to take, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow highlighter. What is it actually called? Highlight Duo Pencil. And just highlight a little bit right here. Maybe a little on my nose. And just down the bridge of my nose, actually. Instead of using that Sarah Creole, this one works nicely because it's a nice point here. It makes it a little more accurate. You can also use this in the inner corners. So now I'm just going to check and make sure everything's blended. I like to take a tiny bit of mascara on my false lashes just because sometimes the powder from the eyeshadow sets on them. So today I'm using the L'Oreal Age Perfect and just putting a little bit of mascara. It also makes false lashes look a little more natural, I think. These are in sizes 10 and 8, so it's a very natural, shorter length. I have like 10, like 3 10s and an 8, and just hit my lower lashes. This is also a surprisingly good drugstore mascara. I usually gravitate towards different brush styles, but I actually really do like this one, and I think the formula is really nice. Last but not least, and this is just an extra step that I tend to take, is I'll take some powder, blush, and bronzer to reinforce what I already have there. It's just a way to kind of keep it lasting throughout the day. So I'm going to use the BK Beauty 112 brush and just go into, this is like a Sephora palette, so it's inexpensive. It reminds me a lot, this formula, of kind of like the Hourglass formula. So I'm just going to lightly reinforce this. I don't know if this BK Beauty brush, this is the 112, is my favorite. It's actually kind of stiff. I'm going to use a different brush. This is a Luxie brush. I haven't used this one in a while, but it's softer. It's not as stiff. And then I'm just going to go into the blush color and just lightly reinforce the blush. Again, that's like an extra step that I always take. It's certainly not a necessary step if you really want your makeup to last by layering your cream, blush, and bronzer with a powdered formula. You're just adding the extra layer to keep it lasting longer. And then last but not least, I do like to pat it down a little bit just to make sure it's all blended nicely. Okay, so here is the finished look, you guys. I absolutely love this foundation. I think it is beautiful, and even set with a tiny bit of powder, you still see that hydrated, radiant glow without it looking wet. I think that's what bothers me about some radiant finishes, is that they look wet, and that can sometimes accentuate wrinkles and aging. I mean, this lip combo, you know, if you don't love nudes, you may not love this, but for me, I love it. And the formula on this liquid balm is so nice. I have perpetually dry lips and I just love this. Also, like I mentioned, you guys, this is the best concealer I've ever used. I would be hard pressed, I think, to find another concealer, at least in 2025 or maybe into next year, that competes with this. There are a lot of great concealers on the market, but very few really perform as well on mature skin. Thank you so much for watching and spending a piece of your day with me. I will see you in my next video.